Good afternoon, everybody. This is our 1 o'clock session for our online virtual forums. Again, my name is Jerry Griffin, the Superintendent of Schools here at Malone Central. This morning I had quite a lengthy forum that lasted about an hour and a half, and that forum was recorded and it has been posted on our website already. So if you go to our website, and you can watch this morning's forum. I'm going to do my best to try and not repeat myself answering the same questions during the forums. I'm going to try to get to all the new questions that have come in as of this morning. We've gotten quite a few new questions. I want to get to those as quickly as I can. I'm just going to very briefly start out by just saying that we're doing these forums. Governor Cuomo has asked us to do these before August 21st. This is in response to all school districts submitting our reopening plans that were based on the guidance provided by the Department of Health and the State Education Department. Those plans were submitted on July 31st. Governor Cuomo announced in early August that schools could reopen using those plans, but that we should give parents the option of remote instruction if they so choose. Those commitment forms are online, and we're asking parents to have those commitment forms filled out by this Friday. Our plans were written following the Department of Health guidelines as strictly as we could, which means we did it with fidelity. And that in terms of physical distancing, face masks, maximum number of people in a gathering, cleaning regiments, and then the cohorting and grouping of students. One last point before I get to the questions is our goal was simple. We wanted to see if we could have 100% in-person instruction. We quickly realized, because of the size of our district and the size of some of our buildings and classrooms, we were unable to do that. So our next goal was, let's give every student pre-K through 12 an opportunity to have some in-person instruction, which is why we came up with the model that we did. So I'm going to jump in to the questions. Just for some of you that weren't on this morning's forum, I have 3 monitors up, and I also have my phone here, and there's a team of people that are helping me respond to these questions as they're coming in through the feed, and they're sending them to me. Someone asked about turning the chat on. We wanted to do this through a form like this, because what happens is when people type in a form and hit submit, it goes into a database that several of us share, and we're actually going to use these questions and the thoughts that are behind them to take a look at our plan, make revisions if need be, and just have it to reflect back on. And it's a nice, easy way for us to get everything in one spot, and we can all be looking at the same information and the same questions and making sure we're addressing your needs. So let's just jump right in here. If other meetings and these town hall meetings are held virtually, and then those seeking employment in the school district cannot turn in applications in person, it has to be done online or through the mail, then why and how do you think it's safe to gather teachers and students together in person in a classroom and in an enclosed space? We're following the guidelines that are out there, so we're not going to hold any kind of meeting that would have a gathering of more than 50 people in one room. So I wouldn't want to hold a parent forum in an auditorium and then only be able to limit it to just a few people, which is why we're doing this virtual setting. Our classrooms will be set up where the students will be 6 feet apart in a desk. There won't be opportunities to have large assemblies together. The issue with seeking employment in the district, when we started doing hiring for our teaching positions back in the spring, we were under even stricter guidelines in terms of how many people were coming in and out of our buildings. So we did turn our application system into an online system only or through the mail. We started doing interviews virtually at that time because, again, we were under different regulations. But frankly, we found that a lot of the candidates actually liked that process, and we're actually able to have quite a nice shared decision-making process because we can have lots of people involved in the interview process. Our school board meetings, we did start meeting in person again this summer. We are physically distanced from one another in those meetings, and we are making it work. If some students are exempt from wearing a mask due to health concerns, will you make families aware that their kids are in a class with others that may not wear a mask? We're going to work individually with those students that might have health concerns, and we're going to check, making sure from our legal counsel what we're able to announce to anyone else that might be in that class. But our special education department is working with all those parents to make sure they understand the need for students to wear a mask while they're in school. Will the school district have policies in place to protect children from other children that do not follow guidelines? For example, they don't keep masks on or wear a mask correctly. Situations like this are going to be addressed by our administration, and communication home will be made to parents of students that don't abide by these rules, especially any students that are doing it in a deliberate, insubordinate fashion. That will be dealt with immediately. Are there going to be deep cleaning on the weekends? Yes, we are going to be doing deep cleaning. And we have a cleaning staff in place for that. Hang on, I'm getting a response to help clarify another question. Okay, one of the questions this morning was about the physician's office not being able to handle the influx of calls. Our school nurses have been in touch with the pediatrician offices in our area and working with them on that process to send them a list of symptomatic students each day. And that same list will be sent to the Department of Public Health. And hopefully that will help them to prepare for the calls ahead of time. So we're in good contact with our providers and feel like we won't be overburdening them if that happens to come up. So again, yes, we'll be doing deep cleaning on the weekends in between the cohorts. Staff, how social distancing and mask wearing in the hall is going to be enforced. We'll have staff members monitoring the halls between periods when students are transitioning, and that do a lot of training with our staff and our students on how to transition in the hallways. Are elementary tables being switched out for individual desks? In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. There are some rooms that have enough tables that we would be able to just keep the students at a table, and then in other rooms, we just don't have enough, or the tables are shaped in a manner in which wouldn't allow for physical distancing. So in that case, individual desks would get moved out. We're working on that now. We have some schools with a surplus of desks and some schools that need more desks, so we're shifting those desks from one building to the next. If the same teachers, support staff, and bus drivers are interacting with both cohorts, is it really separating them? Well, we're keeping good records on who is in contact with each cohort, and we'll have that documentation for contact tracing purposes, and all of our adults will be wearing proper PPE throughout the day. Will students in one-on-one age really be able to social distance? For the most part, we feel like they will be able to do so. We understand that we do have some students with some very high specific needs, and those types of things would have to be worked out through the Pupil Personnel Services Office and get some further guidance and training on how best to serve these students. So that's a good question. If 30% of the students is an indication of how many staff will be doing remote instruction, will there be enough staff to reopen? Yes, I feel like there will be enough staff to reopen. Again, that 30% that this person is referencing, as I made a comment this morning, that the 30% of the respondents to our commitment forms parents filled out have indicated that they are going to have their students, their children on 100% remote instruction. And that is due by this Friday. What will be the difference in grading and coursework for the hybrid and distance learning students? Will it be the same material? Will it be graded the same? Will it be the same amount of work? Yes, it will be the same material. There won't be any difference in grading or coursework, and it should be graded the same. And will it be the same amount of work? I think it could just, it's just a different work environment. I don't know if it's any different amount of work. Some of if you're 100% remote, you might be working on some of the materials at a different time, depending on whatever your home schedule is at your home. But no, you should have pretty much the same across the board with grading, content, material, and the amount of work. How will you ensure students of the high school receive adequate instruction if the courses are taught in 2-hour blocks per week and only for a semester? What do you envision their remote learning days looking like for high school students to ensure learning continues as much as possible? Well, for one, we hope that there's still constant contact between the teacher and the student throughout the week and not just in that 1-2-hour block that happens. So we do hope that there's more interaction that goes on during those remote learning days. Both directed from the teacher standpoint and from the student standpoint, that communication is two-way. Also, if you look at, the Franklin Academies have been running a pretty traditional 8 40-minute period day for probably 50 plus years. And many high schools across the country have moved away from that to a block schedule anyway. So we're not really changing to anything that's earth-shattering, because lots of high schools across the country are on a block schedule already and have been for years. And semester their courses, it's half the amount of workload in the course of a semester, but it's the same number of instructional minutes. So we're confident we'll be able to deliver the same adequate instruction in a semester. When are schedules and specific protocols for buildings expected to be distributed? Once students have been hand scheduled, they're going to be mailed out with the building procedures and protocols. The goal is to have scheduling complete by the end of the week, and they would be mailed out by the first part of next week. With school starting on a Tuesday, how will the kids who are scheduled as remote learning that day get their Chromebooks? The hybrid students in the second cohort will receive their Chromebooks when they go to their first day of school on Thursday. They will not need the Chromebooks before that time, as they will not have met with their teachers yet for the first time. So they will not have assignments before then. Okay. What will the school day look like for elementary students? Will core subjects be taught during school instruction and specials remotely? There will be both the core subjects and the specials. Maybe a difference of opinion here, but I think a lot of our specials are core subject as well. And so we want to give all of our students a well-balanced education throughout the day in a safe manner. And we hope to do that with the in-person instruction at school. When will the remote schedule be posted? Please post quickly, as employers are being patient with employees and are waiting to hear for scheduling. So I think this means that when students might be responsible for actually logging into a class, and if that's the case, then those schedules will be sent out in the next few days. If it's an elementary classroom, Hopefully those schedules will be available soon. I believe the academic schedule is already complete for the elementary schools and could be posted. And on those remote days, the students would just follow that schedule. But that's something that I'll make sure I follow up on. If we choose remote learning, will my child's learning have to be at the same time as regular classes? Or will there be recorded sessions that my child can do when I am home from work? Will this be different for elementary, middle, and high school students? So at the high school level, we're attempting to create remote sections during the day so students can receive live instruction. And if this isn't feasible, either on the classroom end or on the student end, we'll have to work off of the recordings. I know that some of you have mentioned that you have several people at home that are trying to work in a virtual manner, and sometimes you have bandwidth issues at home and you're not able to have everyone on a Google Meet or a Zoom conference at the same time. So if you're in that situation, we hope to be able to help you out by providing some recorded instruction for later in the day when you might have more bandwidth available at your home. I understand what you're saying. What times will students be required to sign in during the day? Well, that's going to be dependent on their individual schedule. So if they have a class or 100% remote class scheduled for 9:30 in the morning, then they'd be expected to sign in at 9:30. It goes back to my earlier question. If there's a specific reason why that wouldn't be able to happen, I would encourage you to interact with the teacher and or the principal to figure out an alternative for a recording. What will classes online look like for children as young as 6? Will they be required to sign in and stay on their laptops for a full school day? Well, I hope they're not staring at a laptop screen for the full day. I hope there's lots of breaks in there and opportunities to do some other activities that are away from their screen. There could be scheduled times where a teacher could be instructing for a period of time and then give some work for independent practice that the student could go away from the screen for a period of time and then come back later in the day. I don't know if anyone wants us necessarily looking at a screen for 6, 7, 8 hours straight during the day. So that's going to be something that our teachers are going to have to be mindful of as we start the school year. If students are remote, will resources and offerings be limited for them? AP courses, band, etc. Remote students will still be able to access the advanced placement courses, college courses. Almost all of those are offered online now, or pre-COVID anyway. And then even band and choral instruction could be done remotely and online. What are you doing to support teachers in providing authentic, meaningful learning experiences remotely versus worksheets and packets? This summer, we offered several professional development sessions for our teachers, and we had well over 200 people participate in those professional development sessions, and they were dedicated completely to teaching in an online remote world and doing it in an engaging, meaningful way. And so I hear you that we don't want just online worksheets or packets. And so there are several tools in place, and we have several people in place this year to make sure that we're providing resources and support for those teachers on the fly if they need help delivering something. And we want all of our teachers to raise their hand if they need help. There's no shame or embarrassment in asking if they need some help with something. We have people here that are willing to help them. So I appreciate that question. Will students be receiving live stream video from classes happening in the school? This is a possibility that we could do that. We do have to look at some privacy concerns that we have that exist for the students who are actually sitting in the room receiving that instruction and having that broadcast out to someone's home. If we could find a way for the camera angle to be focused solely on the teacher, we might be able to do that a little bit better. But based on some of the notes I'm seeing here, I can tell that some of the concern is some privacy concerns for the children that are in the rooms, and vice versa. So we're aware of that, and we'll provide that proper training and support for teachers so they know what to allow and not to allow. Will students be able to interact with teachers and other students live, and will teachers be available every day for live help? We are creating sections that are for remote instruction only, as well as for review. And we do anticipate having people available after school and evening hours for extra help or by appointment. We're working on a website of links to access certain people in our district after hours. How will we know what time the buses will be picking up students? Our transportation department's working on that, and they'll post that in the same manner that they've done in years past. And when they get that done, we can make a one call now out to all parents, letting them know that that information is available. This next question is about the bus and walking policy. We do have a Board of Education policy regarding the distance from a school that you have to be in order to be picked up by the bus. And we do need to enforce that pretty strictly this year, so we can keep an eye on and maintain a specific list that's up to date on who's on what bus and what seat they're in for contact tracing purposes. Can my senior be picked up to make North Franklin Ed Center morning start time if transportation isn't in his IEP, or will I have to do that? Okay, the IEP is a separate issue that could be dealt with in the the Pupil Personnel Services Office through the CSD process. However, even regardless of that, arrangements are being made with transportation department for students to be picked up during the early run to get there in time. So an example would be, we're doing 2 bus runs this year. Our elementary students are being picked up first early in the morning, transported to school. Buses are being cleaned down and disinfected. Then they go back out and pick up our secondary students, our middle school and high school students, and come back. Well, if BOCES is operating on an early schedule, because we share that BOCES with 5 districts in the north end of the county, then some of our seniors will need to be able to get there in time if they ride a bus. They can't get there at 9:30. So we're trying to make arrangements for any senior who doesn't drive or who doesn't have a ride to school, that they could ride that early morning elementary route, and they would be assigned a seat on that bus, and the bus would drop them off down the hill here at the BOCES building so they could go to their CTE programming. Would it be possible to create a think tank problem-solving group for folks? We need to support one another during this challenging time. We should all be supporting one another. And if someone chooses to keep their child home for safety reasons, they shouldn't feel like they're going to lose their jobs. Thank you for considering. Yes, this is a good idea to create some sort of think tank problem-solving group. And perhaps we could do it by level. We could have an elementary and a middle and a high school group where we periodically come together in a shared setting where people can share their concerns or their ideas, or ask for help or provide help for that matter. So this is a good question. I appreciate someone putting it in here. I have an administrative team meeting this week. I'm going to bring this up to our administrative team and ask them if we can look at assigning some people in each building to take this on as a project. I think this is a good thing that even post-COVID crisis, we should be looking for ways to involve more people in a think tank problem-solving manner. Why aren't comments? I already addressed the comments on the live stream. It's just a better format for us to have a record on a Google sheet that we can all keep track of, and we have documentation of that, which is why we're doing our questions through that online form. I would like my child to attend class at North Franklin Ed Center and then remote instruction for regular education. Is that possible? Yes, that's actually what any student, for example, if they're in the building trades program at BOCES in the morning, in the afternoon, they would physically be down there at the building trades, and then in the afternoon, they would be receiving their instruction remotely for any classes they need to take here at Franklin Academy. There's some seniors that really don't have any classes left to take because they're in the BOCES programs, but some of them are repeating a class, or they want to take an advanced class. So there are some that will be doing that. And is it possible to switch that if it doesn't work well for him? Anything is a possibility that we could switch if for some reason you wanted to back out of that BOCES program and go into a regular class. I'm sure that could be worked out. I think that's the gist of that question. And then what if they have a resource room? Resource room could be provided in a number of ways. It could be a remote learning space with our special ed teachers here at the high school. Could be provided at North Franklin Ed Center by staff members there. But we're working on those processes to make sure that all of our BOCES kids receive that resource room. Throughout the day. I'm looking back through here, I'm looking over on all my monitors here to see if we have anything else to respond to today. Okay, that's the last question for this group. We have a number of questions that left over for the 6 o'clock session tonight. And for tonight's session, I am going to try to show you a classroom and what it looks like with a desk spread apart 6 feet. So again, I thank you for tuning in today and being part of this. This particular session will be posted on our website later tonight or tomorrow, along with the one from this morning that's already there. So thank you for your support, and I hope you have a nice day. Thanks.